Hey everybody, it's Rob. We're just about to get started with this week's episode. Less than 10 minutes left. While you got a couple of minutes here, why don't you go check out odanthem.com. It's where you can find everything OD Anthem, including the merch store, the podcast, and all of the videos. Open up a new tab.
Anchor.fm/OD Anthem is the place where you can get direct links to all the podcatchers you use to listen to our show every week.
Did you know we record every episode live on Facebook? Of course you do. But make sure that you're liking the page and turning on notifications so you get notified when we go live.
We make a ton of video content between the podcast, the short films, Heretics. YouTube.com/OD Anthem is the place for it all.
And of course you can find me on any social network at Robert N. Cheek.
And me at LegendCB5.
And you can find the podcast at OD Anthem on all your social networks. It takes so long to load. That's the problem.
So,
Yeah.
there just so happened to be a lot of things that happened in Baltimore for this past week.
Oh, yeah.
So should we start in order, or should we start with the big ticket items?
I mean, like, off the top thing, Corey has been saying for, I don't know, every year, every episode of this podcast, don't get in the harbor. It's a bad idea. By the way, it's swimmable and fishable by 2020, which by my calculations is
tomorrow.
2 days from now. Oh, yeah, 2 days from now as we record it. Tomorrow as you're listening. And last week, a woman fell into the harbor and died.
Yeah.
So I'm not thinking swimmable, fishable by 2020 is gonna.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if it was Stephanie Rawlings Blake?
I mean, it would be better.
I didn't get a name. I'm just hoping it was.
Come on.
I'm gonna prove these motherfuckers wrong. Start jumping in the water.
Wonder what about what?
Well, we haven't seen or heard of a girl, and...
Oh, Ma, come on, seriously?
Not that we would think that, but, we want grandchildren.
Get it first. Need girl, then we get kids.
Grandkids. They're already talking about grandkids. Don't even mention that when she gets here.
Of course. But I'll be thinking about it. Oh, is that her?
Who else is it gonna be?
Oh, go and get it.
I'm going. Oh, shit.
Well, that's a nice greeting.
Sorry, babe.
So excited to finally meet your family.
I know, me too. Listen, before we go in,
What is it?
well, you know basically everything about me.
Well, at this point, I would hope so.
Yeah. But, my parents, the reason I haven't introduced you to them is because,
What is it?
well, they're different than you and me.
What do you mean?
Well, listen, you're great.
Are you ashamed of me, Tommy? Is that why I've never met them?
No, not ashamed. Never ashamed. Opposite of ashamed. It's just that,
Superman?
yeah.
What about it?
Well, my parents are Baddicks, like, really, really, really intense about Batman.
So?
So they expect me to date and marry a nice Batman girl.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Look, I know they're going to love you. It's just that once they get to know you, then we can ease them into the whole Superman thing.
Alright, Tommy. Alright, I just wish you would have given me some kind of warning.
Trust me, they're going to be so happy to meet you, I promise.
As long as I believe in their hero.
Please don't do this now, Steph.
Do what, Tommy? I'm not doing anything at all.
Then why do I get the feeling that I'm in trouble here?
I don't know. Why don't you ask Batman about it?
Shit.
Are you going to keep her standing on the porch all night, Tommy? Invite her in already.
I was going to, Ma.
Tommy, she's beautiful. A real gift from
Pop,
Anthem,
she's
huh?
right here.
It's lovely to meet you both.
You too, dear. Please, please come in. Dinner's ready.
Great, I'm starving.
Suddenly, I'm not so hungry.
Oh, Tommy, you're such a joker.
You actually have some sort of really weird intestinal cancer that only seems to be caused by people who swim in shit. Like swim in a river of shit.
Yeah.
And then like just like the moment just sort of like hits me, like flashback style, just like whoosh.
Fish.
I'm like
Smack.
I'm back at Oregon Ridge jumping in a lake, going like, I love the water.
Never put it in your mouth. Never put it in your mouth. Why
Well,
would
I
you
never
do
thought
that?
about it until just that second, when all of a sudden it's just like, yeah, you got about 3 weeks because you have
Advanced bowel cancer?
shit creek cancer.
I feel like though that it's not just that
It's the type of cancer we've only seen from kids in Flint.
it. A whole separate issue about.
By the way, it's still not fixed.
Not fixed.
Just by the way, it's still not fixed.
And
And they don't have water coming their way anymore because they're. I mean, there's a small degree of pride that I feel when our men's basketball team is blowing out like
You mean when
Poland by 70 points or
when
whatever?
a team of professional basketball players beats a bunch of young men from a country who occasionally play basketball? Yeah. It's the Generals versus the Globetrotters,
Right.
over the course of a summer. Yes,
That dream team though, with
the
MJ,
92
yeah,
teams? Yes, the
yeah.
92 Barcelona
Oh man,
team.
that was great.
No, that was literally Globetrotters because they were doing behind the back passes.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
No look, and the team from Poland just like, what game are we playing? I don't even know if this is basketball.
Wait a minute, isn't that technically traveling?
NBA
We
rules.
don't call it here. we don't abide by that rule in America.
He
Boom!
literally picked up the ball and ran from midcourt. It's MJ. He's allowed to do that. It's okay.
I think the one thing I noticed, and this is my only take on this,
Yeah.
because I don't get into the false patriotism, and I don't get into the desire for America to win fencing or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's some sports I just don't care about.
On this week's episode of the Oh the Anthem podcast, boy, do we have some updates for you. A lot of stuff in the Oh the Anthem universe. We got big news for you. You're not going to want to miss that. Not such encouraging news in sports ball. We'll get into it. Emotions are high. Things are still going on, but we'll discuss. You're going to want to hear that. A lot of news coming out this week from nationwide. Most of it, well, Corey and I don't care about because we can't get drafted. Sorry, millennials. And in the Baltimore corner, we have our delayed topic from last week about Governor Hogan, and we're getting into this year's homicide count. How's that going to look? What are things going to be like? All that and more coming up on this week's episode of the OD Anthem podcast.
Only something more days until spring training starts. This is Corey, and this is the Anthem podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. Welcome to episode 301 of the Anthem podcast, coming to you from the hashtag OTA LA studios, high above the 110 freeway in downtown Los Angeles, California. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for checking us on your podcatcher of choice. The easiest way to do that is anchor.fm/Oh the Anthem, where you can find the links to us on Apple or Spotify or Google or Pocket Cast or wherever you like to listen to them. That's where you can find us.
And, of course, you can find more Oh the Anthem at Oh the Anthem on Twitter and Instagram. We're available on Facebook at facebook.com/Oh the Anthem. You can watch the videos, whether it's the episodes of the podcast, the short films, the web series, everything at youtube.com/Oh the Anthem. And everything Oh the Anthem related is at the brand new ohtheanthem.com. And, of course, don't forget, we are coming to you live worldwide across multiple platforms. You can find us on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitter. Just search for Oh the Anthem at all of those platforms.
Live streaming everywhere all at the same time.
Absolutely. And, of course, no matter where you are, you can leave us a comment in the chat or in the whatever they have, wherever, and we'll be able to see it here. If you'd like to become a part of the show, just join us there.
Yeah, we live in a connected world where, like, if you tweet us or something like that, we'll find it.
Yes.
It'll happen to us eventually.
Absolutely, yeah. And I was going to say, before oversight, I was going to look up and see how many days until spring training, but didn't do that.
I just figured the joke of it just being however many days to spring training doesn't really matter. It's the joke remains the same even with me mumbling something through it.
But before we get into that, let's talk about some new developments when it comes to Oh the Anthem. So we promised it last week, and now it's officially up.
It was, to be fair, it was officially up on Wednesday night.
True.
So
Yes.
it just took a little, and I predicated that on the podcast. I said I don't know how efficiently the transfer process is going to be from WordPress to GoDaddy.
And it was not. WordPress is a lot like a spiteful ex. Just doesn't want to let you go, burns bridges, just does whatever it can.
You know, to be honest, it's not that, because the whole process, most of the process actually ended up being when I was going to transport them into tablet pages and phone pages.
Yeah.
How it wouldn't allow me to like automatically resize, and I think that's just an Adobe like, you know, we're not doing Muse anymore, so fuck you guys kind of thing. But
wait, you developed a website on a platform that no longer offers support from 5 years ago, and you were surprised that there were issues.
I don't know, but we started the website on Muse, so it felt like the good place to at least get it going until we figure out another iteration.
Yes,
of something
until
to use.
Someone learns Illustrator so that we can build websites on Illustrator.
Dreamweaver, you mean?
Dreamweaver. I keep saying Illustrator. Dreamweaver. Yeah.
See, the big problem with the Adobe system is that like you can make a website on Dreamweaver for sure, but you really need to know how to code. That's advanced software right there. But Muse was working so efficiently as like an easy to like a plug and play one, because XD doesn't work for me because you can't actually export on XD.
Right.
It's like you give this to the web guy and it's like, this is what I want.
And that's
and
great.
Then he does it.
Except
he does
for
it on Dreamweaver.
You're the web guy, and that doesn't really help us very much. But here's the thing: I'm gonna learn.
Me like fucking Mark Zuckerberg, like rating girls in the dorm room and shit like that. I don't got time for that.
I taught myself how to hack the firewall of a Cisco switch in 4 nights of watching videos on YouTube. So we'll see what this Dreamweaver thing has in store for me. I plugged in my 4-year-old computer that is on its last legs directly into the Cisco. So.
See, the thing is, knowing Rob, the thing is, he'll come to me a couple months from now and say, I've designed a website on Dreamweaver. It's ready to go. I want you to take a look and tell me what you think. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay. And you're like, I learned about breakpoints and everything's matched up perfectly and it's awesome. And I'm just like, cool, can't wait to see it. And then you open it up and it's like purple on green. And I'm just like, all right, some notes.
Well, listen, I'm not.
It is technically a website you designed.
Not a designer. I'm putting up the framework. That's all. I don't know what other people like. I know what I like, and that's all. Although I wouldn't be purple and green. I would probably go.
I like the Barney aesthetic.
It would just be black and white. It would be bland as shit. Just like, listen, functionality is really high with this. Yeah, but it's ugly.
Did you ever see Drudge back in the day?
Like Drudge Report?
Yeah, like
yes,
back
that's
when
exactly
it first
what I
opened.
would
Yeah.
make. Yes.
It's just like all courier font, like from beginning to end. It's just like at the top, it's a little bold and it says Drudge, and that's it.
I really enjoyed Drudge Report. I thought there was a no nonsense way to present the news. And it just reminds me.
You couldn't necessarily approve of the news, but you could approve of the no nonsense format in which it was given to you.
The news stories made me angry, but yes, I liked reading it in a format that was no nonsense. And it just reminded me of coding in 1998, where like I could do that. Like italics, gotcha, buddy. All right, let's get this going.
There was a moment here and there throughout the course of redoing the website where I was thinking back to AOL when I first had AOL. And that there were certain brands that had AOL pages that were like more responsive.
Yeah.
Or you could go to the boring www.whatever.com, you know? Like I remember like the NBA had like a really cool layout for its AOL page.
Right.
Which you could go to by doing NBA in the search bar and it would just take you there. Or you could go to the NBA.com page, which is just like, you know, just lines of statistics. Like... No video, no pictures, no anything. There was no time for that on the internet back then.
Yes.
But
I've
on
also,
the AOL page, there was actual pictures that would show up of
I bet you
Michael
AOL,
Jordan like shooting. And you're like, oh my God.
AOL was doing that. They were putting
Yeah.
that together to make people use the AOL page. So,
It's almost surprising that they didn't take over the world.
well, you know, as far as I know, you can still get those discs for free all over the place. So maybe their business model wasn't 100% secure.
Every year, somewhere around this time, is where somebody will release the article of like, did you know that there are still 8 million subscribers to America Online? And you're just like, what?
Well, see, you guys say what?
What?
But that's because you coastal elites don't understand what it's like to be in the rural areas where all we have is dial-up, and AOL still provides a service. That's why, AOL Time Warner got broken up, but when AOL sold, it still sold for like a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
To PSINet, is that what it was? I can't remember. Some kind of internet company bought the AOL portion and was just like, no, we'll still take this. There's a lot of users, but it doesn't have value in the Time Warner marketplace anymore.
Yeah, I can't remember who bought it, but yes, I know what you're talking about.
Nonetheless, we have something much cooler than the AOL NBA page right now. So you can,
Man, if you were impressed with that, you got something coming your way.
I mean, the full archive of episodes from episode 1 all the way to episode 300
on every single version of the website too, on mobile, on tablet, on desktop, it's all covered.
Yeah.
There was a little while there where it was just like fuck mobile. But I was just working through a feeling. A couple of minutes later, I was all right.
All right, I went out, smoked a cigarette. Now I'm okay.
Fuck, nobody cares about the goddamn mobile site. And I'm just like, it's just a podcast, and most people
are on mobile when they do it. Yeah, it's.
I can imagine a world where 99% of our traffic is mobile, and I should probably take this more seriously. And then I'm just like, slap myself in the face a couple times, did the water, and then got back to it.
Completely off topic, but I noticed that
realized it was 4 a.m. and I was just like, oh.
1000 Sunset is still available for rent, which is a commercial property that has been available for rent since we moved here.
Oh, the one by CVS?
Yes. Yeah. Like, I have not seen anyone in that building at all the entire time we've lived here.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about going and lowballing David, what's his name? Who owns this building?
This one?
Yes.
Jeffrey Palmer?
Jeffrey Palmer. I keep thinking it's David. Jeffrey Palmer. Just been like, hey, man, that's been sitting empty for a while. How'd you like $100 a month as just a toss away rent? And then we could say the Anthem from Sunset Boulevard. Now, no one will know that it's not actually
live from Sunset.
Yeah, they won't know that we're Sunset at the 110, not Sunset at the
Sunset so close to Cesar Chavez you can taste it.
Literally as close to the end of Sunset as you could get. Like, it will become Cesar Chavez very close.
The only one that's the other end of Sunset is like Santa Monica too. So it's like we're on the less desirable end of Sunset even on that.
Listen, it's easy to give directions. Just travel down Sunset. If you hit Cesar Chavez, you've gone too far. But anyway, so everybody should go check out the website. All of the episodes are up, so you can see everything from episode 0 to episode 300. They're all archived there, very lovely, with strips of 100 for episodes 0 through 200. Or is it? Yeah, 0 through 200.
No, it's 0 through 100, and then 101 to 200 or something like that.
Yeah, and then after 200, then it's broken down a little bit
It's
differently.
lumped into hundreds.
Okay, hundreds, yes.
Now,
But-
now you're making me think that like somewhere along the way I designed it to say like 1 to 100, and now I might have ended it on or started it on a different number on the. Oh my god! Now I'm like lost in the loop of all the things I didn't do on the website.
Sorry. But you can see all the episodes there.
We're live brainstorming the problems with the website right now.
But you can go check out all the episodes. Most importantly, you can find all the content there. All of the episodes are up, even the ones that were before we did video. They're all available with the show notes and everything is up there, so you can't miss that.
Takes you back to the original page in the format that you were looking at it. So if you're on mobile, it'll take you to the old WordPress site for the mobile, just like it was when it first went out.
And they haven't been edited yet, so up and until Corey gets nominated for that Oscar, they'll be available in their same horrible content.
I'll be like, what happened? WordPress deleted all our old episodes.
Whoa, WordPress, why you let us down like this?
WordPress is like, we had nothing to do. WordPress. How dare you?
But you can also find links to the web series. You can find the store, and if you didn't check out last week's episode yet, the store now the Spreadshirt store now lets you choose what design you want, and you can kind of put it on your own thing. So although you may see like, hey, this is a men's shirt, but I like that design. Click on it; it'll take you to an ability to say, I want this on a women's shirt. I want this on something else.
The one hiccup was that before we had just designed T-shirts because that was the only thing we could like go in and like we had to add each item individually, and we didn't want to have to like design a sweatshirt and go through all the trouble of like making the sweatshirt just right, and then somebody looks at it and be like, oh man, I'd really like that sweatshirt, but only if it was in a 2-tone sweatshirt instead of that one, and you're just like, oh well, I would have done that if I knew that was. But now all that work is aside, they've done a way to make it so it looks good on like everything.
Yeah,
and I don't have to go there and like literally cinch up every inch to make it look.
Except
correct.
we made white and black versions in some cases, and they don't all look good on everything because.
So we eliminated some colors, but that's out there, and all of the shirts, and we're working through the store to make sure that everything is like optimized perfectly. Hopefully this week at some point.
Yep.
That gets all finished, and any shirt you want in any kind of apparel you want with any of our designs is out there. And like this Corey Baker Filmmaker shirt. There you go.
Hey, there's
one.
Yeah. But not the Ravens hat, because that would not end well for us, I don't think.
They'd be going on sale right about now.
Yeah. But anyway, so also, I want to say before we change topics here, there's also a special list. If you have somebody who is a little wishy-washy, like, hey, I don't really listen to podcasts, or I don't listen to them a lot, or I only listen to certain ones, Corey has created a special curated list that is not really a best of, but this is what you're getting into list of episodes.
It's a new listener guide.
Yeah.
So I just sort of thought about, like, if somebody were to tell me, like, hey, I've been listening to this podcast for a while, I think you should start, and you were just like, what should I listen to? Like, what would give me a good idea of who they are? I think sometimes it's hard because we do a lot of like news of the week.
Yeah.
So something that we recorded 10 weeks ago seems like it's a little like dated if you're listening to it too late.
Yeah. Is Trump going to be impeached? Who really wants to
So there's
listen to
more
that?
of like the evergreen content in the listener guide, so you could sort of pick it up wherever. And like specifically episode 1, which is still on there, which we designed specifically to be just the type of thing that anyone could listen to at any point.
Get to know us.
So, yeah.
Although being 5 years ago, maybe we should renew that.
We should do a new one. Just
Find those MySpace ratings again and do them again.
Relationship status.
But anyway, so make sure you check out the new website this week. Totally worthwhile. Have a lot of stuff going on there. But let's get into this week's episode.
And
proper.
don't worry, it has an SSL certificate because I spent hours upon hours of doing that as well. So
you should have asked me about that. I just did that for the work website, and I spent hours and hours trying to figure out how to do that.
Well, the problem is I had done it before for the CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com site, and
I got this.
and I was just like, I know what I'm doing now, and then you go in, there's one thing wrong, and you don't know where it came from, and you're just like, oh fuck,
fuck
me.
What are you gonna do?
Yep.
Well, so again, let's get into this week's proper, and we are going to be talking, of course, about sports ball. So, not a happy week.
No.
I do like that you're showing, though, that fans forever.
Yeah, I mean,
No. Win or lose, rain or shine.
I'm pretty sure. I didn't go back and listen, but I'm pretty sure when we did the before the season prediction of what was going to happen, I was like, I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yep.
We could be really good. We could be really bad. This team could surprise us. It might like come together, and it did. It came together in a really nice and amazing way.
I think we did say the AFC North was looking weak, so it would be a good chance for us to make a push.
I think we bought into the Browns hysteria a little bit too, where they were just like the Browns might win the division, and Pittsburgh's always tough.
Let's go back to week 4 when they beat us, and we're just like, all right, this season's over. We're not going anywhere.
Those plucky Bengals, they might make a little run at this thing. No, I couldn't be happier with how the way the regular season went. I'm very disappointed with the way it ended, but surprisingly, I'm not like crushed. There's been playoff losses that have happened with worse Ravens teams that I've been more crushed by.
Oh, you mean like when we hit the field goal, but it hit the vertical post, came back out, and they said, "Oh, that's not a field goal."
Yeah, that like there were a couple Patriot losses that hurt particularly hard.
Yeah,
there were some. There was like one to the Colts that really fucking sucked. There was another. There's like handfuls of ones across the board that just like stick with you a little bit more.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I wasn't feeling like super confident going into this week. I couldn't shake it. I wanted to feel. It felt like everything was put in front of me to feel confident.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I just couldn't get into it. I just couldn't like shake the fact that Vrabel is kind of like what they've done in Tennessee is kind of like the Patriots and kind of like the 2000 Ravens.
Yeah.
Where it's like running the ball in defense and stuff like that, and Tannehill doesn't make mistakes, and every once in a while he makes a big play. And how the Titans beat us yesterday was at our own game, because all year long we've been getting 14-point, 20-point leads on people, and then they just don't know how to catch up.
Yep.
And that was the problem with the Ravens yesterday. They just never nothing was going right, but they just couldn't figure out a way to get out of their own way.
They kept it close, but then those 2 scores in 2 minutes just puts it out of reach. And you're already up by 1, and he scored 2 more.
And like that
minutes.
Tannehill bomb, that like 47-yard touchdown.
Yeah,
like that was really defeating.
Well, and their running back threw a touchdown pass, like things you didn't even see all season long, and they're just like, we got to find a way to beat this team. Let's find a way to beat them. And
I mean, I give all the credit in the world to the Titans. I think they're a really good team. I'm interested in seeing what it looks like against what the Kansas City buzzsaw put through today.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
I mean, like that'll be an interesting watch at the very least. I never imagined that. If you would have told me going into the season that the Titans might be in the Super Bowl, I probably wouldn't have believed you. Or I probably would have thought that Mariota made some sort of humongous jump in his career.
Yeah.
I never would have thought
they brought in Tannehill.
Tannehill is gonna come in for Mariota. He's gonna suck, and then they're gonna bring in Tannehill, and it's gonna save everything. And it's just like, yeah, right.
Well, and I mean the Chiefs might have the solution for that thing that the Ravens did really well, that the Titans did really well against the Ravens, which is they were down by 2 scores, 3 scores.
That was the at halftime we were down by a score. Shortly thereafter we were down by 2, but it never felt out of hand. Like we were out of it. Like we were clearly losing, but it was like, oh man, we could get these points so quick if we really committed to like scoring quick.
Well, KC got down by 2 scores, and then quickly put up 24 unanswered points. Yeah. Going into the second half. So
I worry that I know there's like a lot of Texans fans who are going out there fire Bill O'Brien.
Yeah.
And I think that there has, over his tenure, been various times where the hot seat was a little bit warmer than others for Harbaugh. I don't want to make any changes up top. I just want to put that out there. I know there's going to be some person on the fan who calls up this week and starts the media like, we got to fire Harbaugh. We can't win the big game. And it's like, and then it's just going to, in the Sun paper, it'll be like, does Harbaugh need to go? And like, it's all going to start from one person in Edgemere who calls up to the fan. Mm-hmm. He's just like, why don't we bring back Flacco? We won with Flacco. He's available.
They'll sell him back to us if they want.
I think we should fire Harbaugh, and we should bring in Jimmy. What's the one who coached the Cowboys? Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson. Yes.
He knows what he's doing. I know he hasn't been a coach in 25 years, but who cares?
Who's the Redskins coach?
Joe Gibbs.
Joe Gibbs. Apparently on Friday, so another podcast I listen to, the host is a sports talk radio host, and then does a show like this in his off time, and he was just like, Friday, the number of people that I saw on my board with Gibbs, it's like he has not coached in 20 years. Like
he came back and it didn't work.
Yeah, we brought him back in the early 2000s, and he just could not play the game the way that it was being played now. He was really good in the 90s, not so good today.
It's funny though, talking about those Joe Gibbs Redskins teams. Like that was maybe the earliest football memory that I ever sort of was able to receive very osmosis is the Riggins 4 straight games with 30 and 150 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like that's what Henry's doing right now, by the way.
Yeah.
Like a legendary run is what Henry has done to put himself ahead.
Oh, and again, a throwing touchdown.
Yeah.
Because he threw it, and I didn't know that, but apparently he was a quarterback in high school before he became a running back in college, but threw a touchdown pass. So yeah.
Before he was a quarterback in high school, he was a monster underneath a bridge. Before I mean,
yes.
he's such a monstrous man.
Good God! But again, so when you go into the, I think we were talking.
Derrick Henry is one of the every once in a while you see some really big strong running back or something like that, and you're just like, oh man, I wouldn't want to try and tackle him. Derrick Henry looks like what that guy wants to be. The poster that he has on his wall of what kind of burly running back I want to be when.
Yeah. We had in my Pop Warner league back in the day, we had that quarterback who was 15, but he was 6'4", 250, and he would come up and have to do this weird
literal
squat.
Flames on the ball, and
he'd have to do this weird squat to even get his hands down under center. Shotgun was preferred just so he didn't have to come out from this very weak position of
catcher stance.
Yeah, basically lower than catcher stance, one leg up, one knee on the ground. All right. So listen, we're just gonna have a discussion before the game here with the refs. His knee is gonna be down when he takes it when he takes the ball. You have to be okay with that because there's no other way for him to get the ball out from under center. His center is 4'10". He is 6'5". This is what it's gonna have to be. But we had that guy.
You should have just made him the offensive tackler, so it would be like Ogden. Ogden's another Henry is kind of like the Ogden of running backs. When you saw Ogden, you're just like, there's no way a person like that actually exists. And what's amazing to me, I remember over Christmas I regaled myself with another round of Shaq and Yao Ming and Kevin Hart. That picture of them
side
together,
by side? Yeah.
The difference in the height. And Yao Ming looks incredibly humongous next to Shaq, and it's almost, and Kevin Hart looks like it's photoshopped in,
just the top of his head
because it's not even real. It just looks like it's so small, it's not even real. But I would imagine if you put John Ogden in there too, you'd just be it doesn't he wouldn't be as tall as Yao or Shaq or anything like that. But you look at him and you're just that thing's humongous.
He's wide. He's taking up a third of the screen by himself.
He's not fat, but he's so big.
Just broad.
Yeah.
But I will say, I had the same feeling yesterday. I couldn't get myself together to get over to watch. And then I was like, game's about to start. I should really go. And it's just I had a sense of dread about what was happening.
Yeah. And, I really would say that I don't think that this is I don't want to change anything. I want to go further with what we've been doing.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the problem is that Lamar can't handle the playoffs or something like that. It didn't seem to me like he was any worse than he was. He was fine yesterday. He just didn't get some breaks that he would normally get.
Yeah.
And I think that being incredibly lucky throughout the season is sort of making people think that he deserves to have that same luck all the time.
Well, and we talked about it yesterday, but I think 2 weeks
and not
off,
to say that he's an MVP because he's lucky. I'm just saying that a lot of things happen to go his way, and sometimes that's how it happens. And a lot of the people who are on the MVP list at the end of the year just happen into some good fortune as well as being incredibly talented.
But we talked yesterday, 2 weeks off might have been too much. It's a lot to go without playing. And not that you feel rusty, but, you just... that the Titans are coming off of a big Week 17 win, a big win last week, and then coming into Baltimore with a head of steam. And our starters started on Week 17 and then quickly just sat. Oh no, they didn't even start. I can't remember if they started or not. Did they start when they played the Steelers?
No, we started with the Steelers people, but we benched everyone for the 7th. No. On the Steelers game, nobody started.
Yeah, and then
nobody important. Nobody,
and a lot of them were out in the
no
fourth
Lamar,
quarter.
no Mark Ingram,
So again, it's been 2 full weeks of them not playing,
and like half the team had the flu at one point along the line, so everyone stopped practicing and. I don't know. Like, I'm not trying to say that. Like, I don't want to make this sound like excuses for the team. They lost, and it wasn't a good look. But some a reference for only me and Rob. You remember the episode of Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip where they said like, "This is a disaster show. Every once in a while, we have a disaster show where everything goes wrong." Yep. Like that's just sort of how it felt yesterday. It just sort of felt like nothing was going right. And it's one of those, like, if you watch baseball, like, 1 out of every 50 games, there's going to be some sort of unusual set of circumstances that put you down 10 runs early on, and there's no chance you're going to win.
Sometimes that ends up 33-3.
Sometimes it just keeps piling on top of you, and it's just like there was no chance you were going to win this game.
Yeah.
That happens to every team at some point along the way. Yankees come into an interleague series with the Brewers, and then all of a sudden go down 10-0 in the first, and you're just like, how'd that happen?
Yeah.
Just happens sometimes. So I sort of feel like there was shades of that were happening in this game. Like it just didn't happen for whatever reason. It didn't work.
And the other team played really well. And sometimes you can have a disaster game, but if the other team isn't on point, you can pull it out.
Oh, yeah.
But they were on point. And they got too far ahead, and no matter what happened, it wasn't coming back. So.
And I'm feeling really confident or like really excited about where football will be going over the next couple of years. Just with the idea of like, I think the Ravens and the Bills were teams that peaked a little too early in terms of like success that has been shown on the field. Mm-hmm. I don't think the people, DaCosta was necessarily imagining that this was going to be the year that we were, 13 or 14-2. You know, like. He would have probably have imagined. Honestly, it's one of those things. Like maybe if we had lost in week 13 when it didn't matter or something like that. Like I'm just picking out a random week. But if we had lost one game, the Bills game. If we would have lost the Bills game, it wouldn't have impacted too much for us,
right?
And we would have had a loss at some point along the way to like bring the team down a little bit. Like I don't know. Like how can you argue that losing at some point would be a good thing for the team? It seems like the rest argument is like a lot like that too. How can you argue that rest is bad for,
especially a team that had the flu in week 15 and 16 and just like they're beat up. Yeah. Take a week off and then, we get a bye week. Great. Take another week off. But it's those things where if any of those things had changed, you never know. They lose in week 13 and something happens and they lose in week 14 and 15. And now it's just like we get on this losing streak.
And then you're losing 4 straight going into the playoffs and you're just like, oh man, this team looks terrible. How are they ever going to beat the
first seed to 6th seed? And now we're on the road all the way through the playoffs. So, you never know how it's going to shake out. But I think the important thing to keep in mind for everybody at home
we might have had that Titans game last week in the wild card round.
But no one was expecting this year, except for maybe Lamar was. I feel like he was the only one who was expecting this because he came out of the draft like, we're getting ready. Let's watch. Yeah. Just watch. And maybe like last year he was feeling the same thing. But other than that, this was our year to figure out what this team was, and next year was going to be our year to like make a push.
And the last, the week 17 against the Steelers there, I said I feel really confident about this team because we're so deep.
Yeah.
And like Gus Edwards comes in. And he looks so good in the spell of Ingram, and RG3 can handle the offense, and everything was working the way that it was supposed to. And I think that's all true. Like I think we have a really good foundation, we have a really good depth behind it, and now it's about finding those special types of players that really elevate what we've already created and come up with new ways of making this offense. Which is sort of unprecedented in NFL history, like into something even more scary and like the thing I said to Rob, we were watching the Chiefs game, and I said, imagine if we just added Tyreek Hill or a draft version of Tyreek Hill, like this team would be incredibly different just immediately right there. And
that's the thing. We have a good core, and now the league will adjust.
And
to
I
this
trust
team.
that DaCosta will be able to get, top 10 talent out of a top 30 draft pick.
Yep.
Like he just, like him and Ozzy just find a way to make these things happen. So,
but yeah, we have a good core, and now the league will adjust to what this team was this year, and it's up to them to make the team something different next year, better next year, so we can overcome the adjustments. But anyway, so before we get out of here, also that means next week will be as of the early game, Kansas City versus Tennessee traveling to Kansas City for the AFC Championship game, which, by the way, is going to be a great game. Anybody should be watching that. 49ers won yesterday, which means that either Russell or Aaron Rodgers is going to be traveling to San Francisco. And we're looking up the score to see where it is right now.
21-3 Green Bay.
21-3 Green Bay right now.
With
and
that's minute 30 left in the half.
Yeah, going into the half. So,
yeah.
Looking strong for Aaron Rodgers to make a trip. By the way, that's a 49ers Green Bay NFC Championship.
Yeah, it feels very old-fashioned.
Yeah,
it feels very good for NFL 100.
Yes, yeah. It's a very classic game.
And you got the Chiefs, too. So you got 3 teams that are like classic NFL franchises.
And then Tennessee Titans.
And then the Tennessee Titans, who don't deserve to be here, but, not like that. Like, the logo and the newness of the team.
Yes. Although, I mean, the same would be said about Baltimore. I mean, really, it's,
that's true.
Not a classic team.
No.
So, anyway. But
made their mark in a short period of time.
If we're still going, we'll update towards the end of the show about what the episode is. But, of course, when you listen to this tomorrow, you'll already know. But still good to watch NFL football. But pressure's off,
another one is I'm upset, a little upset that we're recording on Sunday this week just because the Oscar nominations will be tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
So we could have talked about that if it was a Monday recording.
Maybe do a midweek update. Just do a little
like, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Maybe a little short. How do you do?
Well, listen, we both have work tomorrow, so let's do this. We're going to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning when they're doing the announcements. We can do a live recording.
We'll just get up Periscope and
we'll just do it. Yeah. By the way, not going to happen.
Rachel's sleeping behind me.
She wakes up in the middle, just like, "Hi, light's so bright. Turn the light off."
Isn't it 5:15 Eastern time too?
Oh,
so wouldn't
maybe
it be
it
better
is.
just staying up?
Yeah, it might be. So that would be what, like 3?
Because they try and like get it before the morning shows go up or something like that. Like,
good God, yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
They have to have like a 3-hour announcement.
Well, maybe if I go to bed right after we finish here, maybe I'll be fit to wake up at that time. So anyway, so that's going to be sports ball for this week. So moving on, I don't know if the news was light this week or if it was so focused, or if we were so focused on football that we just didn't notice anything else. But it seems like everybody's talking about one thing or 2 things really this week, and both involve the president. So,
well, I mean, like it seems like a lot of this week was a lot of pensive waiting too.
Yeah.
After the whole Soleimani thing last week. There seemed to be a lot of like what's going to happen next kind of thing going on. And thankfully, not too much. There was a retaliatory strike. And Iran said, we're square now, but I don't feel confident about it.
Well, so,
either.
By the way, a strike followed by a tweet of the Iranian flag, followed by a tweet that was vaguely a copy-paste of what Trump tweeted right after the Soleimani attack, which is why world leaders cannot dictate by tweeting. Like, Obama tweeted very positive messages all the time. He was the first president to have a Twitter account.
Yeah.
And basically it was just like, hey, after we do stuff, I'm not going to tweet anything. We'll wait a couple days and then I'll say like...
I'll make an official statement.
Yeah.
I'm not...
Via the White House, by the way. Not his personal...
Yeah. We'll think about it. We'll craft something and we'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to... Well, because Obama, like him or hate him, like he respected the fact that the president's words carry a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And if you put out a statement that has a misspelling at the very least, then people start wondering about like what's going on here. You know,
yeah.
It's like how serious are we supposed to take this? You know. And whenever Obama tweeted about something, I imagined it was very serious or it was very important for somebody in the Obama administration to get this out.
Just remember the sand-colored suit. That was a huge controversy. Huge controversy that he wore a sand-colored suit. Anyway, so there was a retaliatory, and I told Corey in the pre-show meeting, the meme winner of the week was U.S. wants to attack Iran, bombs Iraq. Iran wants to retaliate against U.S., bombs Iraq. And then it's the image of like I think it's an Indian soccer coach who's got like both hands on his hips. And he's just like, come on, guys, what? And it's like Iraq. Iraq's response. But so in response to our attack, Iran fired rockets into Iraq, into a U.S. military base, and killed, I think, 6 some contractors and some soldiers on the military base.
But no American soldiers, right? I seem to remember Trump making some sort of statement like
there were
casualties, but no Americans, so we're good.
No, there were Allied soldiers, but the contractors were American. So, but his statement was this like vague. There were no American soldiers killed, and we're just not going to mention that the contractors who were there were American. So, but this leads us to the point where Iran's basically like, all right, you bombed us, we bombed you. Let's just chill out on this whole thing. Yeah. And then Trump ordered 125,000 troops to the area. So this week they have been gearing up. I have seen that some people who I know who have, soldiers in their families have been going to the airport and saying goodbye. And people have been sending or tweeting pictures of like the long lines of soldiers going into the USO area at the airport. So not good. And again, I'm in meme culture a little bit because of my day job. I get to like see a lot of that stuff, and
you have a choice selection of the spiciest memes.
Yeah. A lot of joking about a draft, and it was super fun for me to sit down there and just be like, "Well, you guys, here's the funniest part.
I'm not part.
I'm not going to get drafted. You all might get drafted. So, I mean, like, let's keep making these memes, shall we?" Yeah.
Makes me happy.
So
to think of how worried we were in like with George W. Bush and stuff like that. Like,
But to be fair, you could still be drafted.
Me?
You got 4 months.
Wow.
36 is your official out date.
Oh.
And it's not even really an out date. It's when they drop.
But aren't I a not preferred candidate?
Yes. I mean, I think I was a C4 draft level.
I mean, it would have to get really out of hand in a couple months for me to have
but
to.
We were single, non-married, with no kids, so it's
I'm just gonna slide them across a Blu-ray disc of my reel, show that I'm an important artist of substance and culture, and that they should not have to.
You might have more success sliding across an MRI of your knee and just being like, "Here you go, guys, just to know what you're getting." Yeah,
there is literally no tendon left. None of it.
But at 36, you drop down.
It's literally being held together by hopes and dreams at the moment. That's what those are.
But at 36, you drop down to the only way they're calling your number, because by the way, we're still in the selective service system. Yeah, is a Berlin 45 situation where they're like, "Hey, can you stand up? Great, we need you to catch some bullets. Come on." Hopefully that doesn't come to that. We'll see. But all the jokes amongst the 21-year-olds. And I was like, "Hey, didn't you play college football?" And he was just like, "Yes." And I'm like, "Don't you stay in really good shape, like gym 6 times a week?" Yeah.
I like how you joke about the idea of like, I wouldn't have to be brought into this war. I'm officially out. Ha 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 ha. All you millennials. And then all of a sudden it's like California has decided to declare its independence from the United States. And you're like Teddy Roosevelt going into Cuba like, fuck y'all.
This is very different. Me choosing to do it, very different from being drafted. And yes, I would be old man Teddy riding up San Juan Hill on horseback up against a tank because, that would make sense. But yeah, 100%. If the war for California independence started, I will volunteer my services. But
you on a surfboard on top of somebody's Woody. To freedom, gentlemen.
But here's the thing. They wouldn't put me on the front lines because what California recognizes is genius. And they would say, we need some military strategy here. Let's go and find the guy who can do that. And then there'll be that slow turnaround as the camera pulls in and I'm smoking a stogie on the veranda. And I just turn around and I say, all right, boys. I'm in. Let's do this.
Sometimes I feel like we need more Billy Bartons in command.
Billy Barton.
From the Yankees manager who's like hired and fired like 15 times.
I'm thinking like, is that a soldier?
No,
Who's
there was a line about Billy Martin as a manager where it's just like the reason why he was such a good manager was because he was so paranoid all the time about how people were going to get him. And he formulated all the different ways in which somebody was going to get him. But nobody was ever out to get him. And then he just used all the best ideas of how other people were going to get him on other people.
Yeah.
That's like why he was such a good manager. He's like thinking of all the ways that somebody's going to screw him. And then he made an assortment of the best and used them on his own.
I mean, I think that is a perfectly fine way to live your life. I mean,
that's what California is going to have as a general, by the way. I can just foresee it now. Just like, well, what about all the wheelchair access points?
Yes.
What are we going to do for all our gluten-free soldiers?
Or it'll be the opposite. And it'll be somebody who's just like, all right, listen, I'd love the 1st Battalion to move out. Unfortunately, we don't have enough gluten-free stockpiles for us to go. So I'm going to keep you in reserve. We do have the vegetarian option for Battalion 2. So Battalion 2, we're moving to the front. No, just eat.
Is it vegetarian or is it vegan?
All right, Battalion 2, hold back. Battalion 5. Ooh, okay. They're at yoga. Is anyone ready?
Where's the Gilroy Battalion?
Where's those folks from Northern California? They brought their own guns. Good. All right, boys, let's go.
Not wine country.
Further north.
Further north. Keep going.
Wait.
Woods people.
I was going to say, further north. Wait. Okay, not the ones under the cloud of pot smoke. Too far. Come back. Come back this way.
You're in Oregon. Come back.
No, volunteering very different than being drafted. And fighting a war on your own soil very different than going and dying in Iran for reasons which make no sense. And
I like by the way, Republicans and Democrats when Trump's like, I'm going to start a war with Iran, they're just like, let's go back and talk about this war powers thing, shall we?
By the way,
both the Senate and the Congress are both going like, hey, so should we pull back his open
and pass
unilateral ability to just declare war anytime he wants under the war on terror provision, essentially?
Passed by the House. The first time rolling back provisions of a president being able to declare war since the 90s.
It should have happened 10 years ago.
But we'll see if the Senate passes it. But the president is not able to just go declare war.
Yeah.
If you remember, Franklin Roosevelt's speech was a request to Congress to declare war, not saying, hey, we're at war. He was saying,
I would very much like to go to war.
I'm asking you to create a status of war between the United States and Japan, and I'm going to use very flowery language to describe why it should be the case. And then you have Bush. So the bombers dropped bombs last night. Just to keep you in the loop, we're at war with Iraq.
New enemy combatant has entered the fray.
We've been playing a lot of Smash Brothers. But so in this week's news, there is no plan or exit strategy for Iran.
Check.
It was followed up that the Defense Department has no exit strategy for Iraq, except maybe to move those soldiers into Iran. That really is the only exit strategy, is leaving rear guards in Iraq and moving everyone else into Iran as part of an offensive.
Step one, though, is building a Trump International Hotel at the edge of Iraq and Iran, because right in the middle, so that they can stay on the way.
Oh, well, of course, yes, they have to do that. But remember, the end goal here is to build one in Tehran. That is the whole point of all of this, is to make sure that the Iranian people are not deprived from the wealth and privilege.
Why
of
not
Trump
build
International.
multiples? I mean,
a lot of brands.
I'm sure they would love to stay in Trump International hotels and not barracks or
anywhere else,
like a foxhole or something like that.
I mean, wouldn't you
replace them with all-inclusive spas and golf resorts, and you have all these problems fixed?
The Republic is now under a race. It's a tripartite race. on the one hand, you have Congress rolling back War Powers Act. On the other far hand, you have Trump trying to get enough soldiers in the area to go to war before he can't just go to war. And in the middle, you have articles of impeachment, which may or may not lead to the removal of said president and the need to not worry about the War Powers Act, which, by the way, I imagine that if they had podcasts in ancient Rome, they would be talking about a lot of these similar topics.
Hey, this Caesar guy's getting a little out of control.
We got reports in that he's coming down the peninsula, an unprecedented move. I just feel like maybe someone should go out there and say something to him.
Well, that's been the Rome corner where you get the straight.
What kind of drugs?
Where you get the straight apocalypse.
Yeah, well, but yeah, it just it's like the downfall of the Republic is coming, and we're all just here commenting on it because anyone who could really do anything about it doesn't care and isn't doing anything. But that's not. I guess I shouldn't say that because Miss Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, did say she is sending the articles of impeachment to the Senate, where they will promptly be.
I'm getting on it right some point.
Yes. And as we spoke about in previous weeks, it doesn't really matter because as soon as Mitch McConnell gets them, they will be buried in many committees, and they'll have a trial at some point.
One thing though, just as a general point, have you ever gone negotiating for like a car or something with like a girlfriend or something there?
Yes, it's the worst.
And you're trying to do your like that offer is just it's not even close to what we discussed, and I can't even discuss it any further. And you just get up and walk away, and the girlfriend's like, wait, I want this car. So it's like, no, you have to follow my lead. When I do something like this, just like, come with me and just like look at him and just be like, I'm disgusted, and just like continue walking. Like that's how we get the deal. That's how we work our negotiation power here.
Or they
have like Senate Democrats come out being like, I think Nancy Pelosi's overplayed her hand. It's just like, shut up. Like that's what you get. That's the only play you have right now. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Because what they're getting is they're getting a lot of Republicans coming up to them who are absolutely 100% not going to vote for a trial of witnesses.
Yeah. But
like fucking Ted Cruz is walking up to some Democrat going up to Doug Jones going like, I was really thinking about voting for this thing, but now all of a sudden I just can't even with Nancy Pelosi's actions. And then he goes out on news. It's like, Nancy, you have to stop this right now. We could possibly get something. They're falling for the.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. This car's about to sell.
Oh yeah, it's the one that's just like, well, honey, he said it's the last one.
I've had 15 calls today alone about this car. One person from Denver, he was going to fly in to see it.
No, he's not. There is no person. There was no call. Yeah. But that is the state of the democracy. That one of the players here is really good at the game, and the other one arguably wants better results, but is really bad at playing the game to get him, unfortunately.
I mean, the problem is that the Republicans have found a way to, in the last couple years, have found a way to create the feeling of their lunatics are further away from the rest of us than like Sean Hannity will be like, well, there's some real nutballs out there, some Nazis and stuff, and I'm not really trying to associate myself with them. They're not part of this party. Like I'm over here on the real Coming up next, why your daughter shouldn't date black kids.
Yeah. By the way, the same Sean Hannity that threatened to reveal the names and home addresses and phone numbers of Republican senators who voted for a trial with witnesses, if they in fact did vote for that.
I'm just saying, there's this shell game going on where it's just like, I'm not the bad Republican, you're the bad Republican. Yeah. And so it's like, well, are the Nazis in fact part of your party? It's like, who knows? Let's see what our ideologies are this week.
Yeah, of course they're not this week and right now. Wait, are Nazis still bad? Yeah, no, they're not part of our party right now. No.
Yeah. Let's see where it goes.
And that's where we are. Yeah. Nazis are bad week to week.
Regardless of what your national party may say.
Yeah. By the way, grandfather actually fought Nazis, shot at Nazis. I'm going to tell you, Nazis are bad. I don't really care how it goes. White guy telling you Nazis are bad. You think that'd be a lesson, but it won't be. Let's continue the national discussion on whether or not Nazis are bad and whether or not we should, allow for that.
I said a week ago, masterstroke by Pelosi on this whole thing. of holding back the and she got as much as she is probably going to get from it, and she knows that, and I don't think there's any point in people questioning her in her own party, because that's just not going to it literally sounds like scared Senate Democrats who are like trying to make it seem like there's a Republican insurgence that's going to go away if we don't act right now.
Do you remember week 2 when we went to Miami and played Miami, and then after the game, a bunch of Dolphins players went out and were just like, "Yeah, I feel like the management just throwing the games out there," and like that's what happened. Like basically the same team players, but on the other side of the ball, were just going out and saying, no, I feel like they're just throwing the game here. I don't know what she's doing over there, but I'd like to change teams if possible. Is there a way that I can change teams here somehow? And here we are. So anyway, so that's the news of the week. Not a lot of stuff. Keep your eyes out. And absent a nuclear apocalypse, we'll be here next week talking about the same stuff. So anyway, so moving on to the final segment of the week. I suppose that we should take a trip on down to the Baltimore corner.
Where you get the straight dope?
Exactly. So let's talk about the actual Baltimore specific stories first, and then we'll wrap up with the Maryland more general story.
Okay.
Baltimore, murdering a lot of people in the new year. Just yesterday, 5 people murdered.
Yeah.
Then I saw a tweet from Justin Fenton right before we started saying another 2 murders right down the street.
Neighborhood.
Yeah, right down the street from where the ones were yesterday. Baltimore, what the fuck, man? Like,
well, it's been unseasonably warm, so maybe that's adding to the murder.
Yeah, you say that, but then we finished out the year strong too when it was unseasonably cold. So it's just like, warm or cold, we'll shoot you. Welcome to Baltimore.
It'll never change. And here's the reason why it'll never change, because nobody will ever do anything differently. Like that's the
but you say that, but the homicide up until the murders yesterday, homicide was having a 60% clearance rate on murders this year.
Yeah, but on a small number of murder, I don't. You need to have a bigger sample size for me to like really get into this. You know, like
I'm trying to find hope, Corey. I'm trying to find hope in a bad situation.
I would love nothing else but hope in a bad situation, but it's just not working out that way right now.
Homicide is trying to close cases. Listen, Baltimore, you got to stop murdering the murderers before they can close these damn cases. That's the problem.
And as we discussed, closing cases doesn't necessarily mean convictions.
Oh, no. And listen,
that's the other problem is like the if we can get more than 10% of these cases to turn into jail time for somebody, then I would be very happy, but
I have no faith in Marilyn Mosby whatsoever in order to actually convict anyone. But if it looks like the police department is doing their job, then that's the turnaround point.
The other problem is just the jury pool. Like, because a lot of the people who end up getting called for juries in cases like this are people who've had bad experiences with the police.
Yeah.
So people go up there, and as a defense attorney, I don't understand why every single trial in the city of Baltimore isn't about how this started with a improper contact with the police or something, something along how the police screwed this up along the way. Because somebody in that jury is going to flip it because they were stopped for no good reason and told to get out of the car and then frisked, and they know what that's like. So when this person who was put up on the defense, or who's being charged with the crime, and the same thing happened, and they found a gun, well, how do they know that the gun was there to begin with? I have another friend who had a gun planted on it,
I don't think that they keep statistics, but I would guarantee you that the low conviction rate is based upon the fact that at some point a cop made contact with someone in a way that someone on the jury could relate to and just be like, I don't trust that shit. No, they plant guns on people all the time.
And that's so much easier to understand than like a paper shuffle on a Brady violation or something like that. Like that touches the people who are in the juries and stuff like that. So I mean,
we can't even trust the video because last year we saw that Baltimore Police Department fakes the videos because they fucked up when they faked the video. So now we know they faked the videos.
They put the body cam on to show them discovering the evidence, but they forget that when they press it, it automatically saves the 20 seconds prior or something like that. It's just like, ready to plant that evidence?
Yeah.
Like
we
saw
everybody
that.
ready?
Like,
I'm hitting start. Let's go.
And the other. When a football team fucks up, they're the people talking about Bill O'Brien getting fired for the Texans. I don't know if it'll happen or not. Probably not, but whatever. If Bill O'Brien was fired tomorrow, you would know is because he fucked up today.
Yeah.
Like, I can't take no more. Like, I've had my breaking point. He's fired, you know? At no point did a commissioner of the Baltimore Police Department come along and say, like, holy shit, he's talking about how he's planning evidence and then doing it. Like, I would have a press conference where I'm just like, that guy's fucking out of here.
Yeah.
Like, and just make a show of it, because then people will actually think that, like, you know, you're trying to change something here. If you can focus on the one thing, like the one fuck up at a time, like, just get him out of here, you know?
But that would be...
It's just like when people, like, you know, like, I'm not saying that any small crime is acceptable or anything like that, but, like, you know, every once in a while I'll see a video of it's just like, oh, this guy kicked his dog and he works at, you know, Bally's Total Fitness on
40?
Route 40.
Yeah.
And I think he should be fired. And then a bunch of people call up the job and say, like, you know, your employee kicked a dog, and then the guy's fired. And, like, I get where, like, you know, he did something wrong and you want to punish him for it, but that's not, like, the best avenue for this. And it's not just either. It's like we were talking about Weinstein last week, and a good point that was brought up is that LA County filed their charges while Harvey was walking into the, like, right before Harvey started walking into the courthouse.
Yeah.
So that the reporters could ask them about charges in LA while he was walking in, like, without the walker trying to, like, get up the stairs. Like,
with no knowledge of any of it, by the way. Yeah. But going to your point more, by the way, 2 people who did get arrested because stories went kind of viral this week. A guy who broke into a Taco Bell, made food, took a nap, and then left.
Yeah.
And broke in, meaning there was no damage. He entered a Taco Bell after hours when I think he found the door unlocked, made food, slept, and left. Got arrested because someone recognized him and reported him. And the guy who held up a CVS and gave the cashier a note that said, I don't want to hurt you, but I have a sick kid. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
2 things which should not fucking happen in a modern Western society.
Well, arrested and what they're charged with are going to be different things. But I mean, like...
But wait, 2 black guys in America, they will be convicted of something, and they will go to jail, and there's that.
I'm saying, like, you know, the guy who you saw a video of him, like, beating a dog, like, obviously he's going to, like... you could talk to the police about that. You know, like, you don't have to talk to his job about it, because that just... It just seems like we're playing with these dangerous lines, because, like, anytime you, like, you know, like, oh, John broke up with Nicole, so we're gonna call up his work and tell him that he takes drugs.
Yeah, and
they're gonna fire him. It's like, you know, like, at what point are you okay with this? Like, where's the line on that particular behavior? You know, like,
yeah,
it's a little like weird, and again, the dog beater should go to hell, but I don't think people should just call his work.
I hate 2020. I hate
it's
2020
such a weird time.
So much. But speaking of 2020, I'm also going to hate 2024 when now Governor Hogan runs for president. The one thing I would like about that is when I'm proven right. And the story that I gave Corey last week to read is shown to be absolutely true. The story...
By the way, the story that Rob prefaced to me as, did you read that Washington Post article on Larry Hogan? Mm-hmm. I said, oh, no, I didn't. Mm-hmm. And then I went in and clicked on it, and it was like the Washington Eagle or something like that, not the Washington Post.
Washington, whatever. A Washington paper. Close enough. But it's a story out of the news in Washington that essentially equates Larry Hogan with Donald Trump, despite his insistence that he is nothing like him. And has grown in popularity because he has separated himself from Trump. But as the article points out, they are both real estate investors who took public office, refused to divest themselves of their companies, gave it to a close friend or family member to run, but stay very involved in it, and have profited personally, and their companies have profited by decisions they've made in public office. Trump has been very much more public about it and arguably violated the Emoluments Clause. Hogan has not, but will still cash those checks. So Corey doesn't seem to mind that because he doesn't see a smoking gun in the story. I think that my suspicion of the governor is finally being meted out, and that there will be more news to come.
I am... This article is a pretty classic fishing expedition kind of thing. Like, that's the type of article you put out. it doesn't have any direct references to specific, like, it doesn't have like an email where Hogan said, "Get this done because I have a property right down the street." The point what they're trying to do by including Trump's name in the article and headline so many times is to get people to think that what Hogan has done is so blatant as what Trump has done, and it's just not. It's not the same thing. And I get where it's in their best interest to use the word Trump in order to spur up the controversy a bit more. But when there's nothing, the article is literally written horrible. Like it's written like you can feel the one-sidedness of it when you're like looking through it, you know? Like,
but it's meant to be a kick open the door and let's see what's there. As I pointed out to you in the pre-show meeting, there is much less ability to access documentation in Maryland as there is to the federal government. So that email may exist and we may not know because they can't get it. There may be more conversations that have been recorded in behind the doors meeting that we can't get access to. That's not true with the federal government. So who knows what's out there, but it makes a strong circumstantial case that the position of governor has been used to reroute tax dollars to projects which benefit him personally or benefit his business that he is not divested from.
See, and the one article here, I'm already seeing like new top stories popping up on other sites that like to get on top of something that goes even semi-viral.
Oh, is it top?
So
Does that say the most popular crook in America?
Yeah, on the New Republic 2 days ago. America's most popular governor, the lavishly corrupt Larry Hogan. I'm sure that's going to be not at all slanted. What was it? Is it this one? The Washington Monthly?
Yep.
What
there we
does
go.
Governor Larry Hogan really stand for? All right, so real quick, this is sort of how I do it.
By the way, Washington Monthly and Washington Eagle are very different. The Washington Monthly is a known source of news.
It's not the Post. It's not the Post, yeah.
But it's still a known source of news.
So here's how this works. So I'll just read the first paragraph of this thing, and I'll show you how they're trying to sway you.
Sure.
For years, never Trump Republicans have courted Larry Hogan to run for president. This is a thing that is setting up the fact that people have been trying to separate Hogan from Republicans for some time now. It's easy to see why. He's won 2 gubernatorial elections in Maryland, where Democrats outnumber Republicans 2-1. He's currently one of the most popular governors in America, and he's widely viewed as a moderate who's willing to reach across the aisle. So they talked about all the things that he's known for and why he is popular, and did the who's willing to reach across the aisle like it's some big thing that he does that other people haven't done, kind of thing. The late night talk show host Seth Meyers recently described him as a Republican who believes in climate change. In June, he's published a memoir, a move that suggests he's laying the groundwork for a 2024 presidential bid. Last spring, he launched a national advocacy group, America United, designed to break partisan gridlock and bring people together and advance bold, common-sense solutions for all Americans. Simply put, everything about Larry Hogan's public image would lead you to believe he's the opposite of Donald Trump. But Hogan, it turns out, has more in common with Trump than his reputation suggests. So the whole thing is setting up. These are basic things you know about Larry Hogan, and here is how he is like Donald Trump.
Yeah.
So you've automatically, without having a single cited piece of information, talked about how Trump is Larry Hogan before you even get into the article.
Yes, that is what we would call an intro paragraph.
Just
or
like
a
just like
lead.
the same with the sub headline of Larry Hogan has more in common with Donald Trump than his reputation suggests. But there is nothing in here like cited that that even begins to
Right.
like the one that I think is funny is like I remember this paragraph in particular where it says Hogan has advanced a number of major state transportation projects that are near properties his company owns and development that can boost the value of those properties. And they talk about how he's done this and he's done that and he's done this. And then 3 articles later or 3 paragraphs later when you think you've forgotten about it, it's like, well, all these a lot of these programs have been on the docket since Paris Glendenning, but have never moved through final approval.
Right.
But once Larry Hogan got into office, they went into final approval, and I'm like, come on, that's not. You can't. If Larry Hogan came into office and said, these are all near my properties, I want them put onto the budget right away, and then all of a sudden it happened, and things that were on the budget for a long time went away because he put these new things on.
Oh, you mean like the red line, which went away immediately after he became governor?
He was always saying he was against the red line.
Right, but he bumps off a bunch of projects.
You voted for the guy who did what he said he was going to do.
He bumps off a bunch of projects, and then all of a sudden these that are at the end of the line get moved forward and they get approved. And he benefits from them.
I can't with the red line. I get why people want it. I get why the people who have been spending all the time and effort trying to get the thing done want it. But the simple fact remains that these are not the transit solutions of the future, and we're going to be spending a lot of money to create a awkward, ineffective way of transporting people from east to west or west to east that just doesn't make sense when you think of it in terms of how much you're going to spend to create the system and how much it actually will save people time and money. Like,
all I'm saying,
the reports they have about how like municipal dollars going towards stadiums don't add towards the tax revenue or the base or stuff like that.
Yeah,
and they'd be better off just having a helicopter roam over wherever they're going to build the stadium and drop $1 billion. Yeah. It would have more of an effect. Like that. Effectively, what you're the red line would end up being incredibly expensive over the long term. It would not help as many people as you think it does. The light rail didn't do what it was supposed to do. And the light rail costs so much money every single year.
I shouldn't have brought up trains because I know you hate trains and now we're getting bogged down in trains. But my point is, Larry Hogan, as a private citizen...
I'm not against trains. I think if Baltimore had like a subway system, it would be completely different.
Move on. The point is, he bought properties near certain planned developments. Then, as governor, approved those developments.
Yeah.
That a development which he chose a few of a long list, and he as a person, he as a company will profit from this.
And don't you worry, because Washington Monthly gets deep into the things that he approved that are right outside of the properties he owns, including sidewalks 1.5 miles away from a property that he owns.
Because you've never worked in municipal government, you don't understand how that works.
And a new highway off-ramp that has been discussed for years and years and years that'll finally get approved that happens to be somewhat near an area that he is thinking about redeveloping.
Yes.
And by somewhat near, I mean, like, it's within the same, couple towns. Like, it's part
there
of
is no highway
If you're
access.
talking about like a Lutherville, Timonium, Cockeysville thing, then it's you're building a off-ramp in Lutherville and you're building properties in Cockeysville.
Except for there is a highway access every half mile in Lutherville, Timonium, Cockeysville, and there is none for miles and miles, but now there will be at a place very near a property he controls and wants to redevelop.
Yeah, sorry.
Again, you don't like Trump, therefore the things he does are always bad. You do like Hogan, and therefore I need more evidence to. Have you watched?
If Trump's bullshit was, I want to override the city of New York because they have too many regulations on people who build buildings in New York, and I think that there should be federal oversights on that type of thing. I mean, it would be an awful political hill for Trump to die on. But if he was saying, I have personal experience knowing how awful... You could do the same thing with California. I imagine if you got a builder in California and said, what are all the things that we could do to fix the government in terms of building things better? They'd come up with 15 solutions real quick.
Have you watched the new...
You know how like they say, like, I want to hire a businessman because he thinks differently?
Yeah.
This is part of what they're talking about.
Right. And I want to hire a businessman because he's going to use tax dollars to benefit himself, because, of course, that's what they do. Have you seen the new Netflix show Messiah yet?
No.
Okay. No spoiler. It's not a spoiler, but the overarching message basically of episode
Jesus
1
came back or something like that?
Well, it's a little bit different than that. But episode 1 and 2, basically, the mentality that they leave you with is, if you think that this dude is real, then you can find all the evidence in the world to support it. If you think it's a hoax, you can find all the evidence in the world to support it.
Yeah.
And when you look at the facts, it's just about you seeing a certain perspective on the same facts. And that's what this is. I think that Hogan is a crook, I think that If I was him, if he had divested from his company and if he had approved projects 10 through 17 and that was it, I would be on your side. But when I see that he's like picking the ones that he wants to approve further down that have, yes, been there since Glendenning, and that's why he invested nearby, and then approved those certain ones, I smell a crook.
It doesn't just magically. That's the problem though. Is that like part of the thing about getting somebody who's in real estate to be in charge of either the country or the state is that you're going to have some experience that he knows about how things are being developed because he's in that market and know that like, oh, this whole area north of Bethesda is going to become a huge pocket of people because there are 15 different people developing in this area. In 10 years, it'd be like if somebody said, hey, we should build some highways where Dubai is going to be. Like,
Yeah.
If you know that it's coming, then you should have the foresight to be able to do those things. And what separates Trump and Hogan, and especially like this news report and other ones we talk about with Trump, is that at the end of the day, there was somebody who said, I was in the room and I heard the conversation that was happening between Trump and Tillerson, and he said, I don't give a fuck if it is a wildlife refuge. Let's build an apartment complex there. Like, you know, that would mean something. But there's no like direct... There's no, I heard from Hogan and he said that this will be taken care of, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Like, there's none of that.
All right, so let's wait till the indictments start rolling out.
Like last
and
week
see
when we were
how
talking
that
about
works.
the Hornberger method.
Yeah.
We had a story about them giving him the Hornberger method.
Yeah.
Like, we were in the room for that moment. Like, we
And
knew what
listen,
happened.
The White House is a sieve, and the governor's mansion in Maryland is a fortress. And when the cracks start to form in
I mean,
one,
like, you might as Washington Monthly might as well have just written an article where they described that advisors came to Hogan and said, hey, we got 3 different plans for how we can redevelop Maryland. One benefits you tremendously, one doesn't, and then put out that article and then go to Hogan with it and be like, comment?
yeah,
I mean, like, it's just as... It's preposterous. It doesn't even make sense. Like, it's just it's the worst kind of mudraking that we see in journalism today. And I'm not trying to. This is not meant to sound like a defense of Hogan, because I understand why people who don't like him, but there's really just nothing here. It's just it's amazing that this has gotten so much publicity.
it's conjecture based on publicly available information and tying the dots together.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, I just don't get what, you know, like his comment back was like, I don't respond to blogs or something like that, which was like a way to like minimize their
Yes.
thing, and
Which is also non-responsive to the accusation that's in.
well, yeah, but I
the
mean, like,
article.
I would do the same fucking thing. Like, what
Of course
do you
would.
What
Yeah.
do you why am I going to Corey, did you murder that guy? It's like, wow. I mean, before we really get into this, I gotta set a couple things. No.
Well, but, okay,
Corey, did you murder that guy? No. What
You're
are you
right.
talking about?
Exactly right. If someone makes an accusation, you say, would you say, okay, me, Rob, I say, hey, Corey, did you murder that guy? Would you say, listen, I don't reply to guys who do YouTube videos? Or would you say, no, I didn't murder that guy?
Yeah.
What's your response?
No, I didn't murder that guy.
Okay, so when he says, I don't reply to blogs, instead
Yeah.
of saying, no, there is no corruption in my
That was
administration.
Larry Hogan murdering the Washington Monthly.
Right,
That's
but
what that was.
Again, that's also him not answering the question, and that's a very Trump response. It's not him saying, of course there's no corruption, I would never do that, I'm above that. It's him saying, you are below me, and I'm not answering your question, which is Trump. So
Yeah.
even more so, he looks like Trump to me. I don't know. And I will be happy to take your apology in 2024 when all of this comes to light and the leaks start with his administration.
That's fine. If he's indicted for all this, then he should serve time, just like everybody else who's indicted for a crime should serve time. I don't care.
Oh, I can't
I
wait.
don't care
I
if
can't
you're
wait
a
for you to get,
Republican or a Democrat or anything.
I can't wait for Corey to get me too'd. I really can't wait. Go. The whole archive is available at ohtheanthem.com. Go in there and start digging through. What is it? Episode 188? Is that the one you're talking about?
The one random one that
188?
maybe-
Is that the one you named?
I should really see what that one is. Hold on a second. I'm gonna go to the actual ohtheanthem.com.
Yeah, he's pulling it up right now. Let's look
Yep.
at episode
Here we go.
188.
SSL, perfect. Everything is nice and secure.
Let's go down and there's the podcast page, and now we're going to go to the
Some
archives.
recent episodes.
Bold
The
bar at the
archive.
bottom of the screen.
What did I say? 188.
Yep. And 100 to 199 is where you want. Episode 188. Please be the net neutrality episode.
I think it's this one with Louis.
Oh, even better.
Well, Louis C.K., I'm sure I got in trouble.
This
in that
is
one.
the episode where Corey does a full-throated defense of Louis C.K. All right. Yes, episode 188. Start there, and then go back to the beginning and
Just
find
go
it.
through every Me Too episode and just find it.
Me Too, Corey, as soon as possible, please.
All right. Well, if you want to find all the tools to bury us, you know where you can go.
Where's that?
OTheAnthem.com. Corey to OTheAnthem.com. OTheAnthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line 443-219-7595.
What's the number again?
443-219-7595. You want to put it on me while you continue to laugh quietly?
That could not be more perfect that it was the Louis C.K. episode. Oh, go ahead.
You can find more of me at my website, CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com. The newest review for Cats is out, and in it, I did the long-awaited featurette for the AMC Burbank 16. I also released that as like a standalone video if you wanted to check that out with having to get into cats at all. And Bombshell review will be coming Monday. I will get that ready before I go out on the set, and hopefully we're seeing something tonight, and we'll follow up another review with that. So big things coming. CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com, Facebook.com/CoreyBakerFilm, and @LegendsUB5 on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat.
Fingers crossed, because it's already 6 o'clock, so who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see. But yes, you can find more of me at Rob. Oh, God, this camera's fucked up. Hang on, let's shift that.
Pay no attention to
Pay
the
no
man
attention.
behind the curtain.
You can find me at Robert N. Cheek on all your social networks. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. You can find the Everyman Movie Review specifically at Everyman Movie on Instagram and Facebook. And Twitter is Everyman Movie Reviews. You can find all of that at the YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Rob Cheek. And all of those things are going to be found at the defunct RobertNCheek.com, which will be up in a new form as soon as I figure out how to do Dreamweaver. It'll be a beautiful, beautiful black and white Drudge Report style website. Look forward to that.
Pretty soon, Rob will have a YouTube ad where it's just like, I made a website on Wix. Let me show you how I did it. Because I got those like 900 times a minute when I was looking up like how to do something in music.
Right.
Hey, trying to make a website? I did it. Let me show you how easy it was.
Wix is way easier.
Come to me in my Wix page.
Squarespace. Hey,
It's like,
by the
thank
way,
you, Carly Kloss.
we are looking for a website provider builder. If anyone would like to, get into the Anthem game.
If you want to shell out some ducats for
Corey to the Anthem.
a website, yeah.
Yeah.
Anywho, I think we've done good here today.
We've done something. I don't know if it's good. But as always, you're listening to the Oh the Anthem podcast, part of the Oh the Anthem digital network. For Corey, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody.
You're going to bury me already.